So, thanks everyone for being here today. This is the Opioid Abatement Authority's Carryforward True-Up Reporting webinar for state agencies. So, if you're with a locality, you're welcome to listen in. But this webinar is going to be focused on state agencies going through this process in OAA's grants portal for the first time. Next slide. All right. So we'll do brief introductions of the team. We'll talk through the carry forward reporting deadline, the requirements, how you initiate that report in the grants portal, and what the different sections of the report are. And then we'll also log into the portal and kind of walk through creating one. And then we'll also look up, there's an additional attachment of an expense detail spreadsheet that needs to come along this year. And in future years will be built into the process in the system that helps us keep everything properly aligned. So we'll walk through what that looks like as well. Next slide. So I am Charlie Linticum. I am the Director of Operations for the Opioid Abatement Authority. And through that role, I oversee all of the grants processes, as well as outreach and technical support to our various potential applicants and awardees. Also with us is Sharika Bridges, who's the OAA's Senior Grants Compliance Analyst, who I'm sure most of you have probably worked with in some capacity. Sharika does a lot of the higher level technical support for working through problems of how does this work in the system, and also does a lot of the dotting the I's, crossing the T's, and is putting together and working on distributing the MOUs for the 26, the FY20, sorry, the performance period 25-26 MOUs that were awarded last month. And then we also have Matt Terrell, who is our senior business analyst. He is basically the guy in charge of our grants portal, as well as our website, and provides some technical support around that, as well as working with our vendor to have issues fixed. And we also have Cindy Newman, who is a resource coordinator for the OAA, who also works in support of some of our state grants as well. So real quick, why are we doing this carry forward true up? This process allows the OAA and the awarded agency to reconcile where the final amount remaining for the current performance period is versus the estimate that was provided when the proposals were submitted back at the end of May. So the awards that our grants committee approved on August 1st, we're working with that estimate. And what we want to do is figure out where did you all end up for those that have carry forward funds, and what does that mean, and what, are there any adjustments we need to make to the new performance period related to that amount. So this just gives us an opportunity to work through and address that. And one of the things that we note is we do recommend that agencies begin working on the true-up report as soon as they can. It's due in middle of October, after we know the performance, the end of the performance period, which is September 30th. We have been through this process for the first time in the portal with cities and counties recently. And because this is our first time, we're finding system hiccups and things that are delaying people's ability to start. And so we encourage people to go in, look at the report, get the report started, and look at it. You know you won't have any final numbers till at least October 1st, if not more likely October 8th, 9th, 10th, to be able to enter, but you can see what's there. And make sure that if there's an issue with being able to generate the report, then you can reach out to us through the communications portal, and we can work with you all and/or work with our vendor to get that resolved. So I will say, if there's any major issues that arise, that are preventing from people from completing the report. Extensions can be provided if it's our system that's keeping that from happening. But we'd like to address those issues as early as possible. The carry forward reports are available currently in the portal to be generated, and Matt is the expenditure template on the state agencies tab on the grants info. Yep. So that's also be out on the website. So you'll see those, but those files are available. And after we get done with this webinar today, within the next, hopefully by the end of the week or so, the recording will be posted on our website, and we'll also basically take this slide deck and we'll turn it into a guidance document to put on our website for reference. And once those resources are available, I'll include an announcement of that in one of our newsletters. I think from here, am I turning it over to Sharika? All right.
So good morning, everyone. We want to start out by providing some guidance related to the state agency carry forward true-up reporting deadline. So as Charlie mentioned, the 24-25 period of performance carry forward true-up reports are now available in the grants portal. They are due to the OAA by Monday, October 20th. We do require that a separate 24-25 period of performance carry forward true-up report is submitted in the portal for each project that was renewed for the 25-26 period of performance. The report should be completed and submitted to the OAA, even if your agency does not have any 24-25 carry forward, and or if your 24-25 carry forward amount provided in your renewal proposal has not changed. One of the requirements related to this report requires the attachment of a general ledger or detailed expense report from your agency for the OAA awarded project, and that must be uploaded even if you don't have any carry forward or if your carry forward amount that was approved back in August has not changed. For new 25-26 state agency awards, we do not require them to submit a carry forward true report during this reporting cycle, as their 25-26 award has not officially started, and that won't start until October 1st. So they will be required to submit a carry forward true up during next year's reporting cycle. Moving on to some reporting requirements related to the carry forward true-up report. Again, we want to reiterate that a separate carry forward true-up report is required for each state agency that has a 24-25 project, and the project was renewed for 25-26. The reports must be submitted to the OAA before the OAA would distribute any new funds related to renewal projects for the 25-26 period of performance year. The report must be completed and submitted even if there is no 24-25 carry forward amount and or the carry forward amount provided in the 25-26 renewal has not changed. Now, through this carry forward true-up reporting process, the OAA expects that the final 24-25 carry forward amount reported, we expect that amount to be precise and exact. And based on the information that you submit through the carry forward true-up reporting process, the OAA will determine if a subsequent amendment to the approved carry forward is necessary, and will directly engage with any of those agencies that are impacted in that way. For the carry forward true-up reporting process, there is a signature section that must be completed. So the report will have to be signed or certified by an authorized official, such as the agency executive or the chief financial officer for the agency. The reason we indicate that the chief financial officer for the agency can sign, because this report is mostly financial in nature. We will kind of go through the programmatic side of reporting as we get later, more towards October related to annual reporting. As you're completing the carry forward true-up report, if you have any questions, if you're noticing any portal issues, if you're having any issues with kind of reconciling your carry forward, anything related to the carry forward true-up report, if you need to reach out to us, We kindly ask that you contact the OAA staff member that you have worked with and been in communication with throughout the 24-25 proposal renewal process. So we want to kind of shift gears and provide some guidance regarding initiating the 24-25 period of performance carry forward true-up reports. So when you log into the portal, you will immediately be routed to the dashboard page. To access the carry forward true-up reports via the portal, you have to select the Grants Management tab, which is indicated here on the left side of the screen. And you can access this tab on any page in the portal, but specifically this image here shows kind of where to access it when you first log into the portal. Once you do that, you'll be routed to the grants management page, and there you would select the OAA State Agency Proposal PP 2425. You'll find that. And then once you find that, you will click the Start Carry Forward True Up Report button to begin creating the Carry Forward report. Once you select the Start Carry Forward True Up button on the Grants Management tab, a dialog box will appear, and that box will prompt you to choose the project name for which you intend to complete and submit a Carry Forward True Up report. When multiple agencies have more than one project, so you'll have to go through this process for each project that was awarded for 24-25 to start that Carry Forward True Up process. We also want to reiterate that, again, for those agencies that have multiple awarded projects for 24-25, you will be required to do a separate report for each of those projects. So once you select the project name, then you will have another pop-up box that will appear. That pop-up box will ask you 3 questions specific to the carry forward report for the specific project that you've indicated. We want to stress that you answer these questions correctly. When we went through the city county carry forward true up process, we noticed that some localities didn't correctly answer this question, and how you answer these 3 questions will impact which type of carry forward report you have. So here you can see the questions are: does the project have OAA awarded funds remaining after the close of the most recent performance period? So you would indicate yes or no based on whether or not you have any carry forward. The next question is the amount remaining different than the amount that was originally approved by the grants committee? Again, that is the amount that was approved during the August 1st grants committee meeting. So you would indicate yes or no. If your carry forward amount has changed, you can obtain the amount that was approved from your 25-26 renewal proposal. So you can find that information in the portal, or you can reach out to us if you have any questions on what that amount is. And then the third question is related to, is there a change in the carry forward amount between what was projected in your renewal? And does that amount increase the projected expenditures in the new period of performance year? So you will enter yes or no based on the scenario for your respective project. So now we're kind of shifting gears to the process and the sections within the actual carry forward report. So again, this report is mostly financial in nature. So there is a carry forward narrative section. There's a budget overview section that is broken out between your revenues and your expenditures for your project. And then there's a reference information section where you will attach your agency's ledger or detailed expense report and the carry forward true up spreadsheet. So for the narrative section, you'll be required to provide a narrative update regarding the status of your 24-25 project expenditures. We want you to note any discrepancies between the carry forward amount that was approved based on what was provided during the 25-26 renewal process and your final 24-25 carry forward amount that's indicated in this report. Again, we do know that the carry forward amount that you provided during the 25-26 renewal process, that was an estimate because you still had some months within your period of performance year. You'll also be required to describe what generated your 24-25 carry forward amount. So if you had some delays in hiring project staff or some delays due to contracts being executed for any operating expenses, provide us with a description of that, be as detailed as possible. And then you also want to provide us with a description of how you're planning to use those final carry forward funds based on this report. In the narrative section, there's also an option for the final 24-25 carry forward amount. That option will automatically populate based on the data that you enter into the budget overview sections of the report. So you won't have to enter anything on the carry forward narrative page for that. Shifting gears to the budget overview, again, that section is broken out into revenue and expenses. So in that section, you'll be required to provide us with your final 24-25 expenditure amount, and that is provided by revenue funding source and by expense categories. But the approved 24-25 carry forward amount for the project by revenue source and budget category will automatically populate. And then also the projected or estimated 24-25 carry forward amount. Again, that amount was what you provided in your 25-26 renewal. That information will also automatically populate from your 25-26 renewal for the project. And then kind of talking through the reference information section again, you'll have two attachments that you'll need to include in this section. One is going to be your 24-25 general ledger or detailed expense report. That ledger or detailed expense report should reconcile with the amount of expenditures that you're reporting in the carry forward true up report. And then you'll also be required to complete and attach the carry forward true up expense detail spreadsheet. And again, that should reconcile with what you're reporting through this carry forward true up report, as well as your expenses should reconcile with what your ledger or detailed expense report is showing. So moving to the actual images of the report. So the first, once you generate the carry forward true up report, the first page is going to be an instructions page. That instructions page basically outlines the same information we just discussed on the previous slide and provides you kind of with a description of the different components within the different sections of the report. We recommend that you read this and reach out if you have any questions or if anything appears unclear. So moving past the instructions page, again, over to the carry forward narrative page. In this section, you'll see the state agency information, the grant type, and the project name. Those three fields are automatically populated for you. And then again, you'll have to indicate your narrative update regarding your status of expenditures, as well as provide a description regarding any discrepancies between your carry forward amount that was indicated through the renewal process and was approved by the grants committee compared to what you're reporting through this report. You'll also need to indicate what generated your carry forward amounts and how you're anticipating expending those carry forward funds in the 25-26 period of performance year. And then the final option on this page, as we mentioned, indicates your final 24-25 OAA carry forward amount. And again, that field will automatically populate based on the information that you enter into the budget overview page. So moving to the budget overview, this is the first section of that page where this is related to your project's revenue. So the funding that was provided to support the project. In this section, the only information that you would have to indicate are your final FY 24-25 expenditures as outlined here on the screen. As you can see, your awarded or pledged as match amount is going to automatically populate, as well as your projected expenditures from your 25-26 renewal. And then your final 24-25 remaining funds amount will automatically populate based on what you list as your final 24-25 expenditures. Shifting gears to the expenses portion of the budget overview. So in this section, you will also have to only indicate your final 24-25 expenses, and this is by your expense category. So if you have any personnel operating expenses aligned with your applicant or your project, this is where you would indicate your expenses for 24-25 by those expense categories. Again, you're budgeted as awarded, your projected expenditures from your application, and your final 24-25 balance will all be automatically populated once you enter in your 24-25 expenses. At the bottom of the screen, you'll also see a section for your approved 24-25 carry forward amount. Again, that amount is going to reconcile with the amount of carry forward that you've indicated through your 25-26 renewal application. So you won't have to fill anything for that. Your final 24-25 carry forward amount is going to automatically populate once you enter in your 24-25 expenses, both by revenue and expense category. The balance of the approved and the final 24-25 carry forward amount is going to automatically populate to basically show the difference between the two numbers, confirming what was approved originally versus what you're reporting in this report. And then the percent change between those two totals will automatically populate once you enter in everything on this page. Shifting gears to the reference information and required reporting uploads. So on this page, again, we want to reiterate the first option, you will have to attach a copy of the agency's ledger or detailed expense report. That ledger or detailed expense report, again, we want to stress it should reconcile to the expenses that you're reporting in this report. And this is required for all 24-25 carry forward reports for state agencies. The second option is related to the additional supporting optional documentation. Even though that lists that it's optional, we do require the attachment of the OAA Carryforward True Up expenditure spreadsheet. And again, that spreadsheet should align your expenses by line item category. That should align and reconcile with what you're reporting in this report, as well as your ledger or detailed expense report that you're attaching. The next section is related to the signature. So this process is the same process that you may have went through for your 25-26 renewal. We want to stress that at the top of the page, there is a checkbox that you have to check to basically indicate the information you're providing through this carry forward true up report is accurate, and you're confirming its accuracy based on your knowledge. So you do have to check that in order to proceed with submitting the report for e-signature. And then the second portion of the signature page is related to who will be officially e-signing the report, certifying the report. So you have the option to either add an existing contact or invite a new user. And again, the person that is certifying or signing this report should be the agency executive, anyone that the agency executive has designated to have signature authority, or the financial officer for the agency, because this report again is financial in nature. If your agency e-signature contact has signed off on the 25-26 renewal, then you won't have to invite a new user to do so. Their name and their contact should automatically populate if you click the add existing contact option. If you're requiring the agency executive, their designee, or the financial officer, someone who has not e-signed anything related to your agency in the portal before, or someone who does not have portal access, that is fine. You would click the invite new user, because again, the e-signature process is done outside of the portal. It's done through Adobe Acrobat Signature. So the e-signature contact will receive an email for them to e-sign and certify the report. So they don't have to be a registered user in order to sign this particular report. And what you would do is, if you're inviting a new user, you would just enter the required fields as shown here on the page. So you'll enter that person's first name, their last name, their job title, and their email address, all at a minimum, before hitting the send for e-sign and submit button. This process, we want to stress also, this e-signature process should happen before 11:59 p.m. on October 20th. So the report must be signed before the actual report deadline, submission deadline. So now we're going to shift gears. I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Matt. He's going to give you guys a portal example and talk through the carry forward expenditure spreadsheet.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you that have not been able to begin your carry forward report. The reason for this is that our state agency applications are still in the grants committee reviewed completed. And yeah, and there is some work that we are completing on the MOU side of our portal. It requires some developer work. We've been going back and forth with our vendor and our developers, and we're trying to get the MOU complete before we can send that out to everybody. So once we do have that complete, which I'm hoping is next week, but again, there's been some back and forth with them. Once we have that complete, we can begin pushing those out, and that will move your application to awarded. And once your application is in the awarded status, which you will see on the dashboard, then you can begin your carry forward report. So I apologize for the inconvenience. But let's see. Okay, so you can see the dashboard here. I've logged in as the Department of Forensic Science. And this is in our UAT environment. So this is all just test data that we are using to correct some issues and try out different things. But I will go into my grants management tab here and go to the OAA State Agency Proposal 25 to 26 and start carry forward true up. I'll then select, of course, start carry forward true up. Let's try with this one. Sorry, I had it on the wrong date. So for my test when I had it on 24 and 25, apologize. MOU carry forward test. And here you'll see these questions. If I choose no on these three, it'll just push me forward to the signature page and the reference info. So to move forward with what I would like to show you, let's choose yes on these and begin carry forward true up report. So here we have our instructions page. Please do read through that and click next. You'll see state agency is already filled out, as well as the grant type and the proposal name. You'll have your narrative questions here. If you'd like to have more space, you can click and drag on the bottom right of these boxes and type in there. This third box here, final carry forward amount, this is blank. This automatically calculates from what you input into the budget overview section. Let's move forward. For this particular proposal, I had no non-OAA funding sources, so we do not have to worry about that. But you'll see here the state agency for the OAA revenue funding sources. Let me zoom in a little bit here. Is 100,000 that was awarded. And then there was originally projected expenditures of 50,000, which led me to have 50,000 in remaining. I want to update this to 75,000, and that'll update my remaining here. And then when I scroll down to expenses, all of that was in operating expenses. So I will need to put in 75,000 there as well so that it will match. And you'll see there down here, everything is updated based on what I have entered, and I'll click save and next. I believe if I go back.
Yes. I had a question related to the narrative tab. Is there a maximum character count for the narrative sections?
I believe it's 2,500. I'm not completely sure.
Yes. If I would say they can attach additional sheets. If you have more to say than what the current character counts allow, you're welcome to add that in, like, a Word document or a PDF or something, and attach that to the report. Should be able to attach as many files as you need to. And we're working on we're actually going to start tomorrow working with our developer on some upgrades to the system, having actually been through a bunch of this stuff for a year, and increasing character counts in certain areas is one of those things that we will be doing. So.
Yep. Then also down here, you can see the updated final carry forward amount has been updated to 25,000 based on what I put in the overview for budget. So save and next, save and next. And then here's our reference information. So here's where you can put in your detailed transaction report. Just click File, Upload, and upload file. And click Done. And then your expenditure spreadsheet, just click Yes on the additional supporting optional document, and then choose File, Upload. And then if you have multiple to upload, where you may have increased or just additional narrative information, you can choose as many as you need and hit open, and it'll upload all of them. And just like in the initial proposal, if there's anything in here that you decide you don't want to include, just hit the little trash can over here and it'll take it out. You can always add more as well. Hit save and next. I will check here saying that all of this is correct to the best of my knowledge, and choose add an existing for this one, Matt Terrell. If it is somebody that signed the initial proposal, always check the add existing contact. If they have been added, or if they've been included in invite new user and you've typed in their name and info, even if they're not a member or a user of the portal, the system usually holds their contact info specifically with your account. So check the add existing contact first for the drop down for their name. And then I will send for e-sign submit. And once you send it, you should be getting a confirmation page where you can download the report. There we go. Okay. Back to you, Sharika. Are you continuing that?
I think we have the carry forward spreadsheet example.
Spreadsheet, yes. Apologies. Let me pull that up here. Back over to this page and share once more. So here is the spreadsheet. We put in some initial information just to kind of give you an idea of where numbers should go. But you will put in your state agency name here. And then the project name or the proposal name there. There's a few instructions here that you can look at as well. And based on what was entered in your renewal, you will enter your salaried staff here, what was awarded, your projected expenditures, and then your final expenditures. And this allows us to update your renewal so that we can, since we don't have them included, the line item expenditures included in the carry forward report, it allows us to update those for you so everything transfers smoothly for next year's renewal. And the same for operating and capital. You'll enter your line item expenses here, what was awarded, your projected expenditures, and then your final performance period 24-25 expenditures. And this is all available here under the grants info tab, choosing state agencies and carry forward true up expenditure spreadsheet. That is it for those two pieces. Next. there's any questions. Charlie, you're muted if you're speaking.
I sure am. There's been some questions going on in the chat. I've been trying to address as we can. There is one thing, Matt, would you be able to figure out the character count before the end of this call, or is that something you've got to get through the developers on the narrative?
I have to speak with them.
Okay. All right. So we'll send out, we'll figure out what those character counts are. Apologies for not having those for today. That would have been obviously useful. And I'll do an email out to everyone that's attended with that information. And can you all show where apologies, I'm trying to answer two questions in my head at once. The spreadsheet to capture the expenditures is on our website under the grants info and the state agency tab. Matter sure you can, when you all pull that up, just so they can see where it is. So you guys can download that now. And also mentioned, that people were talking about because we're having some system issues, it makes the turnaround time for the report tighter. And I totally obviously agree that's very obvious. So if we're not able to get things resolved where people can start creating their reports by the end of this week, then we'll provide an extension on the due date, and we'll make sure there's I'll put out a newsletter email if that change has to come into place. If there's any other questions, I think I've covered just about everything else, myself or Matt. You can use the chat feature, or you can use the Q&A feature, or you can use the raise hand feature and ask the question in the webinar. And like as I mentioned before, recording this will be up along with our guidance document, hopefully by the end of the week, if not, Monday at the latest. Yes, Renee.
Hi, yes. I went to Virginia Supreme Court, and we award to subgrantees for drug testing. Our financial reports from localities are due back on October 15th, and the last performance period, we had one reimbursement that was active, and Tony advised us to include it for this year. So I'm assuming I would just need to include the ledger info and that expense amount, and then anything that is received after the due date this year will be applied to next year as well. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes. So it's about what you have spent, and we work on a cash basis with our award. So it's what you have spent through 9/30 25. And so if those invoices aren't coming in until 10/15, then they should 25, then they should be on the new 25-26 award.
Okay, thank you so much.
Good question. Thank you. Clicking on the wrong thing. All right, Mark, are you there?
I am. Thank you for the webinar. I appreciate it. We look forward to being able to get into the system and start. The only issue I have, I appreciate that it's a cash basis, and thank you for the cash. As you know, I'm putting up almost a 1-to-1 on this grant. So I do have some of my own cash as well. The only issue I have is I don't have permission to spend. Technically, the grant ends on 9/30. And the circumstances that led us to sort of be underspent were unforeseen. And all I need is permission to spend the money you gave me. I will
Yeah.
gladly give you spreadsheets and submit the carry forward and all of that. But in 6 days, my finance department doesn't care whether or not they have the cash, or whether or not I want to spend it or have contracts to spend it. They care that you say the grant ends on 9/30 and we don't have, permission to spend. So that's
I'll work on getting for those others listening, Mark's in the opposite situation of most people where he had for the AG's office where they had projected to spend all of their funds, so they were approved for no carry forward in their new amount, and then some things happened, and it often happens when you're buying things, right?
Right.
And they were not able to get those funds expended by the end of this period, so they need to be carry forward, and that's part of what this process is for. But it works the opposite way because it's not addressed even in the new MOU at this point. So let me work on getting some language together for you and see if it's enough to allow you to keep going from their end. And we'll work.
I'm sure it will be. I appreciate it. Thank you. That's all.
I gotta go.
That's all we need. And I look forward to submitting.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate it. Appreciate you being on here and asking. So. Anybody else? I don't see anything in the Q&A, anything additional in the chat or any hands raised. All right, well, appreciate everyone being on here, and sorry for the delays in getting this out. We are, it's first year for all of it, for you and for us. And even everything we think is going to work on one date, then we actually try to do it and find out some other things that none of us thought of. So appreciate everyone's patience and flexibility. And as we're working through, we'll keep you guys in the loop with where things are status-wise. And if you have any questions around any issues, please reach out. And we'll be glad to support you. We want to make sure everybody can achieve everything they need to with these dollars and help all of the people out that need that. So thank you all very much.